In a flashback, we see little Chaya being complimented by her teacher for her writing skills. The teacher suggests that she start writing a diary for herself. Excited by the praise, Chaya rushes home to share the news with her grandmother. However, her grandmother, who was drunk and crying, angrily asked why Chaya had come to her house. The grandmother despised Chaya because she resembled her mother, a woman the grandmother strongly disliked. That day, Chaya cried a lot, wishing she could be seen for who she was, not as a reflection of her mother. Unfortunately, the discrimination persisted. As she grew older, she managed to save some money and told her family that she planned to leave the house after graduating. When her sister came to talk to her, Chea reminded her of the unfair treatment she had endured in the household and expressed her determination to leave. Eventually, Chea moved out. While working part-time at a cafe, she met Nam Haewon for the first time. At that moment, she believed he was her savior. At first, Chea thought her feelings for Haewon were a one-sided crush. However, when she realized that he felt the same way, it made her incredibly happy. Whenever a customer at the cafe tried to approach her, Haewon would step in, saying he was jealous, which made her feel special. She felt like he was pulling her out of her bleak, muddy life. But slowly things began to change. Haewon started getting angry over the smallest interactions she had with other men. Once, he even slapped her. In that moment, he didn't seem human at all. He told her he didn't like her talking to other guys because that's how much he loved her. Chea began gaslighting herself into believing his words, convincing herself that he must be right. She thought back to how her grandmother never hit her, and because of that, never loved her. She started blaming herself. A conflict began brewing within her thoughts. She questioned if this situation was really okay and eventually stopped responding to Haewon's messages. Around this time, her sister Chasen came to visit her at her new house. However, Chea wasn't home. While waiting, Chasen's eyes fell on Chea's diary, and she decided to read it. In the diary, Chea had written about how much she hated her sister. When Chea returned and saw her sister reading it, she was furious. At her lowest point, she didn't want her ugly thoughts to be exposed. Chasen tried to clarify that the diary had already been unlocked, but Chea angrily told her to leave. This incident drove her back to Haewon, thinking that at least he loved her. But over time, she started suspecting him. He seemed to know details about her house, even though he had never been there. Her suspicions were confirmed when she noticed that her diary's lock had been opened again. Chea confronts Haewon about his behavior, and he responds by saying that as her boyfriend, it's natural for him to want to know where she lives, adding that they shouldn't keep any secrets from each other. When Haewon steps aside for a moment, Chea checks his phone and discovers multiple pictures of her taken without her consent throughout the day. Haewon notices this and scolds her, saying she shouldn't go through other people's belongings without permission. Chea confronts him about his obsessive and stalking behavior. In a fit of anger, he throws his phone at her. Terrified, Chea warns him not to follow her or she will report him to the police, then leaves. However, Haewon does follow her and begins banging on her door relentlessly. Inside, Chea cries and screams at him to leave. When the banging finally stops, she manages to fall asleep. But her peace doesn't last long. While sleeping, she feels someone watching her. Opening her eyes, she is horrified to see Haewon sitting on top of her, staring at her intently. He calmly asks if she had a nightmare. Chea forces herself to remain composed and replies that she did, adding how he managed to get inside the house. He dismisses her question, saying it's not important. To herself, Chea agrees. His entry isn't the most pressing concern right now. She gets up, walks to the kitchen, grabs a knife, and makes a run for it. Out in the street, Haewon catches up to her and grabs her by the hair. Thinking quickly, she chops off her hair with the knife and continues running. However, Haewon catches her again, telling her that she can't escape him. He insists that she won't attack him because he is the only source of happiness in her life, claiming she loves him. To his shock, Chea attacks him despite her own fear. The commotion begins to draw a crowd. Among the onlookers, a familiar face appears, Park Yoon-soo. Chea reflects bitterly that the hand she once thought had saved her had instead pushed her into an even darker place. And now, 7 years later, that nightmare has come back to haunt her.